All right. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. I'm going to do another live with y'all. We just came off Instagram. I'm going to hop on this live with you. I still have some content to create for some of my coaching members, but we're going to really have a very serious discussion tonight, and I will add the link here. I'm not going to open it up just yet, but I will be opening up the line to everybody if you want to jump on and you have a question. There's the link. I'm also going to add it on Facebook, and then once we finish the discussion, we will open it up to the public for you guys to come in and ask any questions and participate if you'd like to. Okay, so let's do this thing. I named this particular broadcast "Stop Living a Fairytale Life" because I'm going to get real with you guys tonight. You know, I always get real with you, but today it's going to be even more direct, and I'm going to give specific examples because when I say fairy tale, it's probably not what people think. And by the way, shout out to Mountain Valley Spring Water. I've been having this stuff for years. If I feel like people are finally catching it though, because now a lot of times when I go to stores, they don't have any of this. So apparently the message has gotten out. When we talk about our dreams, our goals, our aspirations, that's not what I'm talking about. Because a lot of people will associate fairy tale with what would be the life of your dreams, the Disney fairy tale, right? No. I'm not talking about what we aspire to. I'm talking about the reality. Okay? And let's jump right into it. I have people coming to me saying they want to make six figures or multiple six figures. as a realtor or an entrepreneur without doing anything, by skipping all the hard work, by finding this new magical system that's going to drop money into their lap. Like, are you kidding me? No, but you're the special one. You don't have to do anything that I did or anybody else did before you. You're just magically going to fucking dance on TikTok and you're going to make millions of dollars. That's what I mean when I say fairy tale. I have young men that follow me who refuse to build social skills. I think they're going to go out there and get the most beautiful women in the world. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I don't care how much money you make. I have people coming to me in regards to diet and lifestyle because they're like, man, you've been working out, you're in shape year round, right? Like, fuck. And I tell them what I do. And then right away, well, I'm going to get the same results, but I don't want to follow that. Then why did you ask me, dude? How can you get the same results doing something completely different if you're asking me and you want the blueprint? I'm not the broke guy on the street telling you how to make money. I've built up huge platforms on, Facebook and Instagram and my old YouTube channel and all this stuff. That's like going up to, I don't know, let's say you got to talk to a billionaire and then he gives you the blueprint to replicate what he did and you just throw it away. Well, I don't like this. I'm just going to do something different. Like, what? That's what I'm talking about when I say fairy tale, dude. Because we live in the era now where kind of like this new age, like spirituality has been ushered in, and it gives people, I think it gives people this delusion that they don't have to do anything in the real world. Now, the reason I've been able to really understand and implement a lot of the old esoteric knowledge is because I apply it, understanding that I live in fucking 2023 in the modern world. I may take philosophical points and apply it to my life and all these other mental technologies, but I use them properly. When I embody some of those philosophies and I apply it to the business world, that's its own game and own rules, I don't think I'm going to sit there and pray and manifest and $1 million check is going to come into my mailbox. I'm going to have to work to make the $1 million. You see, people keep thinking this fairy tale, or maybe there is one story out there that maybe is true where somebody just hit the lotto or did something else and it worked out. That's the one in a gazillion. It would be foolish to strategize based on that. Right? And what do a lot of people do? They take advantage of these individuals. They market them bullshit. I was just on an Instagram live, right? We had quite a few people and it was a good discussion. And we were talking about it. Like people bringing up these terms that have been coined by marketers like analysis paralysis and overthinking and all this shit. When most of the time, the lion's share of the time, those words are not properly describing the situation. It's something else. But those marketers have created those words or brought them out and then put a lot of money behind it. And now you have an issue and you have to pay them to fix it. Or you simply might just be nervous, but now you think you have some fucking viral disease, mental disease. It's going to take you 3 years of treatment and $100,000 to get over when you're just scared. You mislabeled it. Then now you started identifying with this thing that just destroyed you subconsciously. And I feel for people. That's why I'm always outspoken. And the sad thing is I remember even on my old channel, I would attack these subjects and those videos would get a ton of views. A lot of them, tens of thousands of views. And then I'm sitting there trying to help people and they're attacking me. It's like, bro, I made this video to help you, but you're going to trash talk me when I'm literally explaining in the video that I'm here to help people with this? When I literally say in the video, this isn't to bash people. This is to help you understand this a little bit better and take control of this and start to live life properly instead of being in this mental prison and traps that a lot of these things have caused for you. Let me take all the fruits of my labor and give them to you for free on a YouTube video. And those people are going to come and talk shit. You see, this is another reason I like working with my close students, because not only do I make very good money doing that, but I have people who are serious. And this is what I've been telling people for a long time. Like, if you want to get good at a skill, you need to pay the best and learn from them. That's it. Watching my videos or reading that one book isn't going to do shit for you. You need hands-on instruction. You need guidance. You need another set of eyes from a professional who can tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong to achieve a measured, specific result. $100,000 in income, $500,000 in income. I want to become a great speaker and go on stage and talk to in front of thousands of people. I can help you with those things, but so can other people. But make sure you're serious. Otherwise, don't open your mouth. Don't DM me or tell other people or announce on your Facebook that you want to be the best when you're not willing to do what it takes to be the best. Stop. That would be a fairy tale, right? And social media has become a fairy tale. You have all these average or these posers showing to you stuff that they don't actually do. A lot of the people, right? I remember I would get shit when I had my Lamborghini for years. You rented it, this and that, a bunch of bullshit. But I didn't get mad because I knew that I was that small percentage of people that actually worked hard and earned it and bought it and did it right. A lot of the people out there were renting it, right? Or just taking pictures in front of it. So I get it. I wouldn't get mad at those people. I understand where those comments would come from. So technically they were right. They were wrong with me, but in most cases when they say that, they're right. You see, but social media has become a fairy tale. You know, I'm sure it's been your experience too. You follow somebody on social media and then you see them in person. You're like, holy fuck, that's the same person. What? They don't look anything like they look online. I get the opposite. They're like, damn, bro, you look even fucking better in person. Thanks, I guess. But I get it, right? I don't use the fancy fucking lights and editing. You know, I never did that, right? So maybe I look like shit on camera. I don't know. Then people see me in person. They're like, wow, bro, you look amazing. Like, I don't know, right? But what I'm saying is there's no fake with me, but with everybody else there is. And I would see it, right? Back before I got blackballed, after I got censored and deplatformed on my original stuff, right? My original YouTube and all that. I remember going to events where there would be a lot of influencers and you could see it. The moment the camera's on, they act one way. When the cameras were off, they were a completely different person. And that's why I stopped doing that shit. Because I said, I'm not like these motherfuckers, man. I'm not the fake one. I'm not playing a fucking part. I'm giving the world who I really am. And I'm letting them join me on the journey. Same thing with a lot of the original content I started making 8, 9, 10 years ago on my old YouTube channel. People have no idea. A lot of times, like a quick 3-minute video that I made for people, giving a point, like a free point or technique or whatever, that one thing might have taken me dozens of hours and a lot of heartache to come up with. And people just browse over it like it's nothing. This is why I do believe that everybody shouldn't just be given everything for free. I'm a very strong proponent of that because you haven't earned it. You don't appreciate shit you don't earn. If somebody just handed you a fucking Lamborghini, you wouldn't care. You might say, oh, well, I'm that one that's going to appreciate it. Sure. But it would never be the same as if you worked your ass off to get it and you had to pay the money, period. You would not do it the same. I don't care what your story is. Why? Because you didn't have to do shit to earn it. So people can argue that point all day and I can just decimate it if we want to debate about it. But most people won't because they know that's the truth. It's just we want to play that whole virtue signaling thing and, well, you know, and everybody wants to be the exception to the rule and, oh, it's a gray area. Fuck that, dude. There is no gray area. It's not the same, period. Call it as it is. Stop with the riffraff and this whole everybody's feelings. Come on, dude. That's why we're in the state that we're in. We have to begin to speak the truth and call things as they are. And if people get offended, too bad. Let them mature and learn how to deal with their emotions in the modern world. Because, newsflash, the world's not going to adjust to you. And the higher up you go on the ladder, you start dealing with people like me that are more affluent, and we see that type of behavior, we are repulsed by that. People who are high earners, sophisticated, make money, have a network, are not about the bullshit. All the stuff that we saw happen in the world, all this softness, this wokeness, the people who make money and the people who are at the top, a lot of them are my colleagues, they don't agree with that stuff. They don't. Now, they may not be vocal about it like me, but they don't because they're like me. They're more stern, they're direct, to the point. We have a good time, we're enjoying life, and we're not about the bullshit. You see? But it's a little different with me because I came from nothing like many of you. I'm a simple dude. I don't flash a lot of money and all that. I like to work out. I'm more of like an old monk or something like that, really, for the most part. I'm not flashy and all this shit. So I think some of you maybe don't make the connection or don't see me in that light or maybe think I don't make as much money as I do, which I really don't care. But I understand that. I come from that world. I have access to those people. That's my network. Those are my colleagues. But I still show you what I do day in and day out. Oh, BC, why do you show workouts so much? Because that's always been an important part of my life. Your body's your vessel. You should fuel it properly. I want my physical body internally to be strong and healthy. Same thing externally. I want to look good and demonstrate to the world that I take care of my physique. I'll be pushing 40 soon, y'all. I don't look it. I'm not 40 athletically. I'm out here kicking ass. I'm out here having more cardiovascular output and more power and explosiveness than people 10, 15 years younger than me. But I take care of myself and I take pride in it. But it also translates to more mental sharpness, more aptitude in the business world, more respect from people. I look better in a suit. I'm sharper. All that stuff. It matters. We live in the world, you can't judge this and da-da-da-da. Bullshit. People judge. If you're overweight, people are judging you. If you look like shit, people are judging you. If you're not good socially, people are judging you. That's the real world. We can play this game of, well, you're not supposed to say that, or, well, you shouldn't judge. That's a bunch of bullshit. Even me saying the statement, you shouldn't judge, is a fucking judgment. Come on, grow up. That's a judgment. You shouldn't do this. That's a judgment. End. So we got to get past the fairy tale. Just like nobody owes you anything, right? You're going to get out there and build it up from the ground up. My respect to you. That deserves respect. Somebody's going to get out there and hustle. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're struggling. I respect that, which is why even when people reach out to me who have small platforms, small podcasts, I still go on them because I appreciate and I support the hustle. That's why. But when you build it from the ground up, right, you realize very quickly that all this stuff we've been told in the fairy tales are a bunch of nonsense. If you suck, your customer's not going to feel sorry for you and buy from you. They're going to say, get the hell out of here. You're a rookie. Get a new job. You will be hit with the real world in the face. Now, we weren't prepped to deal with the real world. We weren't. We weren't, right? School was a fairy tale. School was a fairy tale. Socially, from a learning standpoint, right? It doesn't prepare you. You want to fit in school, you're not supposed to fit in the real world. You don't want to draw attention to yourself too much in school. You have to in the real world as an entrepreneur to survive. Right? You see, all these things conflict. That's the fairy tale life. It's fake. So, ask yourself, what am I not being real about? Like, let's say you're on here and you're either an entrepreneur, right? You're an aspiring entrepreneur, whatever it is. You have any idea what you're getting yourself into? You're choosing to walk this path when everybody else walks this path. You see? So you cannot take anything about you that was walking this path and bring it to you over here. Unless it was a strength, like you're disciplined or something like that. Sure. But the thinking, the way of being, how you would run a business compared to how you, like, a lot of people don't like their jobs. They want to leave late and they want to show up late and leave early. Excuse me. You can't do that as an entrepreneur. You ain't working a 9 to 5. You're working 24/7. You work until the job gets done. You can't bring that same mentality into that. It doesn't work. Right? And I'll get to the questions here in a second, guys. Because I'm sure some of you came in late, so you're wondering what the context is here. But see, a lot of these things conflict, and then we wonder why we can't get the result when internally your clock is off. You view things wrong. Like if that employee, and this is why I would never bring somebody in my organization at any level, my online stuff, my real estate business, who was a bad employee. Why? That same fucking mentality as an employee you're going to have as an entrepreneur. You're not going to show up late and leave early at the job and then suddenly work extra hard as an entrepreneur. I'm sorry. Because even when I had jobs back in the day, little summer jobs and stuff, I always was a good employee. Showed up early, right? Stayed after if I had to, was proud of my work. I carried over that same mentality and work ethic to my entrepreneurship. You can't just suddenly turn on that switch. Because even if you say, I didn't like that job, you knew that was a stepping stone to save up the money and get you to where it is that you want to go. And if you can't be good in that case at working for somebody else for that short amount of time, whatever it was, 3 months, a year, 2 years, then how the hell are you going to show up for yourself? If you rely on other people to get you to show up and hold you accountable and you can't hold yourself accountable, you're not going to be a good entrepreneur or a salesperson or anything. Right? I remember back in the day too, because obviously getting into real estate or sales or entrepreneurship, you have to talk to a lot of people if you want to build a big business. Right? And now that I've built these platforms the last 10 years, I'm talking to a lot of people online too. Right? But you got to talk to people. So there's a difference between the person who's like, I'll never talk to somebody. Right? And then the other person is like, man, I'm not good at talking to people, but I need to learn because I need to build this skill. Those are two separate people. Both may be afraid to approach strangers, start conversations, and build their business. One's going to be the hard-headed, I'm never going to do it person who's going to fail. And the other one is going to get their ass kicked and not be good, but they're eventually going to get good because they have the desire to do it. There's a difference there, right? Both on the outside look the same. Internally, they're different. That was me. Everyone's like, oh man, you're such a great speaker, Brian. I hear that now when I speak in front of crowds and stuff. That was earned. I wasn't born this way. Ever. Talk to the people that knew me in the past. They say, I never imagined you being in this position. Even my parents, love my parents. Shout out to mom and dad, right? Even they're like, I mean, we're proud of the success, but we never thought it would get to where it is. So understand what you're getting yourself into. And just like me, I'm sure many of you weren't taught the right things. Fair enough. But if you're an adult listening to this, it is up to you and your responsibility to change that and not make excuses. Okay. So before we continue, let's get to some of the questions if we have any. That is the StreamYard link. I've put it in all the chats. If you guys want to hop on, I'll be taking questions here in a few minutes. Slater said, I've been checking out the cold call videos. Cool. There you go. Are they reflecting something and saying that? Probably, bro. Probably. What do you recommend for people in high school? Start building your social skills, right? And really work on your communication skills. Learn sales, right? Read books on becoming a better speaker, right? Because that really is a skill set that's going to set you apart for social media, for running your own business, and it will help you a lot later on in life. And if you build it in your teenage years, you will be a monster in your 20s. What is wrong with living a fairy tale life? Well, in reference, right? We can have grandiose dreams, Yeezy, and be the best and want the best in life. That's one thing. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the people who are delusional, who think they're going to live $1 million lifestyle by putting in minimum effort because they're special and they deserve it. That to me is a fairy tale life, the Disney lie. That's what I'm referring to. Do you believe individuals with pronounced introversion can thrive as successful entrepreneurs? Well, I've attacked the introversion thing a lot on my old channel. And some of those videos are pretty popular because I think more than anything for most people, it's a label, right? But absolutely, I've molded many of my students who by their own admittance are introverts, and I've made them into very successful entrepreneurs and salespeople. It can be done. The key there, Yeezy, is if the individual has a genuine, bona fide desire to be successful and do whatever it takes. So if I tell them to do things that clash with their introversion and they're unwilling to do it, they won't. But the people who are willing to say, well, maybe I struggle a little bit socially or I don't like it, but I'm willing to conquer it from a professional standpoint to be successful as an entrepreneur, then absolutely they can do it, right? Because I can think of a guy that I started with, one of my old friends when I still lived in California. He was, by his own admittance, very introverted, and within 6 months or a year, he was a completely different person. But he committed to the process and he listened to me, and now he's a social butterfly who was once a very, very strong introvert. Now he still likes being alone. I like being alone too. I'm not always talking to people 24/7. Talk to people a lot, but it's like a switch because you have the skill now, right? And there's a difference between being able to do it and not having the capacity to do it. There's a big difference there. Because then if I sit in silence and I contemplate, or I just want to be quiet and alone in my home right now, I can do it. But I'm not sitting there like, oh my God, I can't talk to people. No, I'm not. There's a difference, right? How do you learn sales? That's a lot, bro. Coaching, books, events. It's a process, man. I would just say learn from the people that you know are good at sales. Read as much as you can and practice sales. Get your scripts, talk to a lot of people, sell your product, your service, whatever it is that you sell, bro. It's a combination of everything. A lot of studying and action, both, right? Because that's what I did, and I got very good at it. Cool. Okay, let's continue. So, for a lot of people, this is a shock because, again, everywhere they look, everyone lives by this fairy tale principle, or it's that underlying kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it's that fakeness, right? Like that stuff that's there that everyone knows it's there and it's present, like the elephant in the room, but nobody wants to say anything. Get what I'm saying? So with that said, all I'm saying is point out the elephant in the room. Point out the elephant in the room. Let's call things as they are. When you start doing that and facing the world as it's supposed to be faced, life changes. It shatters your reality in the beginning, right? Because you have to shift to a different paradigm. Absolutely. Because we were used to being politically correct and the gray area and, oh, I'm not going to do this and that, or, well, right? But eventually, once you get past that and you call out the elephant in the room, you take all this pressure off yourself. You really do. And life begins to change. And now you don't have to worry about playing that dance between the elephant in the room and, right? Because then you get pulled 2 or 3 different ways. It sucks. I've been there, right? Let's see. Let's get to some more questions. So Easy said, as you mentioned earlier, the emphasis on socializing in high school was highlighted. Absolutely, yeah. What if we discover our introverted tendencies later in life? Is it too late by then? No, it's not too late by then, right? Let's see. We live in a different era now, Yeezy, right? Like you can do something like Toastmasters. You can go to meetup groups where you can socialize with people. And when I said Toastmasters, that's a public speaking forum where people get together to like purposely together work on their public speaking and communication skills, right? So I wouldn't say it's too late, right? Now, if you tell me as a 40-year-old that you want to be the top debater from your high school team, then yeah, it's too late because you're not 15 or 14 to 18 anymore. So in some aspects, you can say it's too late for certain things. Just like the person who comes up to me who's 45 years old, I want to be in the NBA. Yeah, that train has passed. To that degree, yeah, it's too late. But otherwise, no, because you could still be successful socially, 100%. Right? Now, will the person who was a little bit more socialized, younger, would they have an advantage? Sure. But it's not too late, only in specific circumstances. Great question, though, right? Let's see. Here's a shorter question from Justin. Aside from laziness, is ego why people avoid prospecting consistently? 100%. 100%. It is their ego. Because they won't admit what you just said, the fear of looking dumb or rejection. They won't admit that. Most people. They'll say something else. They'll say something else. Unfortunately. But it's crazy. And I tell people, it's like, why can't you just admit the truth? You're scared. Like, who cares if somebody says you look dumb, right? But see, that right there comes back from school. Because you were afraid that you get made fun of by your peers, right? So that seed was planted in school for many people, right? Because of the bully or whoever it is, right? I think my injury was a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't say so, bro, because had I not gotten injured, I would have pursued that career. I just had to make a change, because to this day, I tell people, as passionate and as committed as I was to basketball back in the day, I'll never find something that fulfills me like that did at the peak when I was a kid. I love that stuff. But I did recreate myself and entered a new industry, right? Because I had to. I don't think it was a blessing though, It just that's the turn that life took, So BC, how do you balance investing in yourself and managing your budget? I'm talking specifically coaching. Well, this is where opinion comes in now, because I can't say this is a fact. I was always the type that I would be willing to put myself in debt to get coaching and get help, because I knew in the long run it would pay off and that I was going to take a lot of action and figure it out, right? But like my students, like one of the first things I teach my students when they get on my coaching program is I teach them a money management system and basic financial disciplines, and I give them a system to follow, right? So in summation, what you want to do is budget yourself properly. A certain percentage should be set aside for living, which I would recommend 50%, no more. A certain should be set aside for your education, long-term savings, stuff like that. Like you need to basically budget and be disciplined with your money. Again, my opinion, I was always willing to go all in. Is that necessarily advice for everybody? No, that's just my opinion. But I would definitely make sure that that's one of the top priorities for you, because that's what leads to growth, man. The people I've met through coaching and training, right? The individuals that I built connections with and business relationships with and friendships with, aside from the information, everything I learned, just the people and the connections was worth every penny that I've ever invested, for sure. 100%. All right. I think we got somebody here. Let's see. Herbert, my friend, what's up? Can you unmute yourself? You have a question? You don't have to put your video on if you don't want to. What's up? I'll give you a second. You have to unmute yourself on your end. All right. I guess we'll have to come back to him. Cool. Great question, though, man. Great question. And I have conversations with people all the time. You see, most of the time, and this is what I want to say, Slater, and this is just in general, right? What I find is most people make up excuses about why they won't do coaching. It's not the budgeting specifically. They just make excuses. I don't want to do it. Blah blah blah. Right. So on and so forth. Right. Now, for some people who legitimately don't have the money, sure. Right. You can't do it. You can't do it. But this is why somebody like me and most businesses have different tiers of things. Hey, you want a product? This is entry level. It's cheaper. You want baseline coaching? Here it is. You want something more high ticket, right? So that's why we offer a lot of stuff. Yeah. So easy success can be very greatly. Yeah, right. Success doesn't just necessarily mean monetary success, and it could be like I remember Earl Nightingale gave a great definition of it. He said success is a worthy realization of a goal, right? A realization of a worthy goal, something like that, right? I might have butchered it, but basically, hey, I realized, I came to realization, right? And I achieved a goal, a worthwhile goal, something that I deemed as important to me, and that is successful for them, right? So that, again, could be argued that's just a saying that he said. So yeah, to a degree, yes, success can be subjective. However, depending on what we're talking about, if we're talking about business and we apply specific context, like you have a sales job or you have a company, well, then it's not subjective anymore. It's based on the criteria of that game. If we're talking business, we're talking specific criteria and end goals and end points to measure which one is better or worse. But for an individual, sure, it could be subjective, right? What do you like more? Get to this question. What do you like more, door-to-door or phones? I always did both, and I think everybody has to do both, because if you just do one way, I think you're really limiting yourself and opportunities. But I would do both. I preferred the doors because I like being outside and being under the sun and talking to people and moving and walking. But I would recommend. I always did both, and I recommend people do both. Cool. Great question, though. All right, guys. All the links are in the description. If you want to check out any of my stuff, go to my website. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is something I'm going to be doing regularly now. I may shift to also opening up a Zoom window and inviting people, because it might be easier for them. That way we can get more people on. But as we finalize this, we put a schedule out and it becomes a more legitimate show. And I'm sure we'll get more comments and we'll get more guests. All right. Have a good night. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.